Monday Night Lights, Monday Night Lights, Monday Night Lights. Let's talk about what's been going on at Viking Ice Arena. You've never seen a league so exciting and tough and fast. It simply must be discussed on an equally exciting and tough podcast. What's it called? Monday Night Lights. Yeah. Monday Night Lights. Monday Night Lights. What's been going down on the ice? Who are the leaders? Who are the failures? The Ducks, the Tigers, the Nordiques, the Whalers, the Seals, the Americans, the North Stars. Who's gonna stall? Who will go far and earn the keg? Who's gonna earn the keg? We'll find out in time. Give us a holler on the whoop line.
The Monday Night Lights podcast is back. Brian Piercy, not with Troy Otto or Andrew Hedges. Who knows? The North Stars are gone. But I'm lucky enough to find a couple people, Mr. Jeremy Cohn and Mr. Cam. How you fellas doing today?
What's up? Talking with Tendies.
Talking with Tendies.
Doing good today, doing good.
I'm not sure. Check your microphone, Cone. There could be a little switch about on and off. You sounded pretty low there. Say something.
No, I'm not seeing him. I'm not seeing nothing.
Whoa, we'll have Cam take a quick look. Oh, there we go. I heard a little switch. Try it again.
There we go. Now you guys can hear me.
Oh,
Technical
perfect. Make sure you're close there. But yeah, I'd like to thank you, Cam. You've been on the show once before. You must have had a good time if you wanted to come back in.
I'm here, aren't I?
You are in. So once again, as always, give us a call on the Whoop line, 714-75-WHOOP. Email the podcast at podcast@mnlhl.com. And subscribe to us on Twitch. We do have the Whoop line, and we actually got a message. Possibly, I don't know if you guys have been following Slack at all. There was something about a week ago. Sam Mackey said he might be trying to get us a sponsor.
There we go, Sam.
So
Let's do it.
we got a voicemail from Sam. It's a little strange. I guess we'll let you guys take a listen. It's one of the classics here. So let's give this one a shout out or a play and see what we think.
Oh, God.
Are you like me? Do you mow your own lawn? Do you fix your own car? Do you cut your own hair? Why, then why allow some college boy to perform elective surgery? Hi, I'm Billy Baloney, and I'm here to talk to you about Self-Pruning LLC. We sell circumcision training kits for pennies of what you pay at some fancy medical supply store or school. And each realistic model comes in your choice of color. Dark skin, medium skin, or original. Now you can take off a little off the top with some confidence. You'll be so proficient, you can even go to your local synagogue and earn some extra scratch. Don't worry, I'll never tell, and ignorance is bliss. Call 1-800-587-8847. That's 1-800-JUST-TIP. Or visit us on our website, selfprune.edu. Order now with promo code WHOOP, and we'll include a carrying case, instructions, and 4 different kinds of forceps. Remember, that's promo code WHOOP. Self-Pruning LLC. The more you know.
Oh,
Dude, I need to gather myself.
Yeah,
for a second.
I'm like wiping the tears right now, man.
I think we're all crying. I'm going to say it. That one was a classic, I think, in a good way.
That was very, very unique. Sammy.
Oh, Sam.
I was a fan. Looks like we got a Jesus from Dave P. Coming from him, it must be good. But yeah, that
Promo code WHOOP.
4 different colors.
Yeah, original. All right. Thank you, Sam. I needed that. That's great.
So let's try to get back on track here.
Yeah,
Sorry
let's
about
try.
that, but I'll probably actually listen to that a few more times. But I did get some breaking news for the podcast, an update on Mr. Jeremy Drager. Apparently his MRI results did come in, and he's been diagnosed with a horizontal and vertical meniscus tear. He's going to see another doctor for a second opinion this coming Monday, but currently it's expected that he's going to be having surgery with a potential recovery time of 4 weeks. So potential could be more, could be less, but it sounds like the Nordiques are without Drager for at least another month or so.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty brutal. He's been people don't realize it, but he's been pretty much the one of the few defensemen that I've played in. He's played in front of me my entire goaltending career. I got into goaltending late. I didn't start playing until I was like 20, 22, 23 for the K-Falks. And he's been that guy for me this entire time. So it is a little weird out there playing
by myself.
kind of, you know. I'm out there like, man, where's
Not
the
seeing any panicopters. Like, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
Like,
Now, obviously, everybody wants him back as soon as possible,
Yeah.
but I've heard some people make some accusations about sub-ups during this time period. Thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think we've subbed up in that position. That was more when Andy Fem was out and Troy had his shots.
I subbed for Drager once. I'm going to call that a wash.
I think that's a wash.
It's an ego thing on myself. I think all
I'll
of
say
us,
it's
when
a
it comes
wash.
down to close people, we all think
I
that.
think there's
but
a lot of like really close defensemen in that range right there, you know, because I think both you and Maff are like and Panny are like kind of like right in that same region of defensemen, you know. But for me, it's a comfort thing, and luckily I've also played in front of you and Maff a lot of times with the K-Falks, so I'm used to playing with those guys in front, and I'm used to what they like to do versus what Panny does. So it's not Panny, but it's close.
Yeah, real quick, like to thank Dave P for his 3rd month with his Prime subscription. Getting that, I think, Seals logo is his new logo
Look
there.
at him go.
Cam.
Yeah.
So what do you think this is going to do to the Nordiques? Obviously, this is how their season's been all year. Do you think it's going to affect them, hurt them? Is it just going to be a week-by-week basis of who subs in for them?
I don't know. I'm seeing Cone obviously getting a donut. It's not affecting them too much. I don't know. Their D looks pretty solid after playing against them. We couldn't really get much going past you or any of the D for that matter. I don't know. I want him to get better as quick as possible, obviously. But it could. What happens if another injury pops up? Hopefully not. You know, fingers crossed. But then you lose another D. What happens next?
Right.
Yeah, and I think his knees seem like it's been messed up for a while now, and I think it's good that he decided to go in, get it checked out. Obviously, if it was later in the year, he'd probably be more reluctant to have that happen. He wouldn't miss the playoffs, all that. So it's better to get it out of the way early, be back for the playoffs, be full strength on yourself, and he's probably just going to feel better once this is all done with.
Exactly, like you said, dude. I think he's been playing with it for a while now. So once he feels comfortable out there, I think you're going to see him really. You know, you're just making those cuts and stuff like that. It's going to be more comfortable out on the ice.
Yeah, him into those cuts, man. We, us old men in our, 7th, 8th rounders, we're known for our cuts and our
I think you're going
silky
to see
smooth skating.
I think you're going to see the panicopter up to a whole new level now.
Oh,
With
wow.
full
I never even
extended
thought
reach.
about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, first topic of the night, outside of breaking news, is going to be a quick little thing about Hazel Park Viking Ice Arena. They have 2 different sheets of ice. They have an Olympic ice, they have NHL ice. Cam,
Yeah.
how do you think those 2 sheets of ice actually affect the game in MNL?
Largely. Your bigger ice for your quicker teams, they're going to dominate. If you like last night, I think the Whalers are a pretty quick team, but we got shut down in the NHL rink. It's just a little tighter, not a lot of room to move around. It helps, with the slower teams. It's hard because, like I said, it's like vice versa. You're taking on the quicker teams. You're going to have a harder time covering more ice. There's more opportunities can happen. You have a lot more room in the neutral zone, behind the net. Things like that affect play a lot. And, with the styles, all the teams and stuff, I mean, what was it last year? I think the Seals played on the NHL more than a couple of the teams, and we made the NHL our home. And then we just struggled on the Olympic, if I remember correctly.
Now, Cone, with a lot of players, at least, especially even the Whalers, there's a lot of guys that are playing 2-3 nights a week, a lot of Troys. That NHL rink should be no different than a Troy rink. Shouldn't people be used to it, or how do you think that affects teams?
I think you bring up a good point. Most guys are playing a couple nights a week, and they should be relatively used to it. But at the same time, you get that little taste of Mondays. You get that little taste of Mondays with, what you're used to. Especially season 1, we were 100% on the Olympic, and then we start the transition. You're on there every other night or every other Monday or whatever. So
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how much it really plays into the game of the play, but I think it actually helps a little bit the lower round guys, because I know when I play on the Olympic ice, I feel like I'm playing on a soccer field sometimes. Like
it's
a good analogy. That's a good analogy. Yeah.
It's huge, and then even sometimes in net, even when I'm on the Olympic ice, it. Guys, a good player, a good fast player, like a guy like Serta.
Yeah.
Serta can go way around
Yep.
on the Olympic ice
Yep.
and beat maybe a lower round defenseman that way, and then still have enough room to be able to cut around him and then get like a little mini breakaway from below the dots.
Exactly.
Where like he can't always pull that off on the NHL ice because the boards
congested.
are just
Yep.
they're just a little bit tight. I don't know the exact specs, but it's a little bit tighter, and so it's sometimes a little bit more challenging as a goalie because you have to realize, okay, on the Olympic ice he can pull that around.
Yep.
He's got a lot more options. Where on the NHL ice, I can just I just get into a blocking position and he's gonna rip a low percentage shot, and I just gotta control
Exactly.
the rebound.
it's definitely different from a speed part.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it matters to me. I'm more of a north-south guy, so maybe it affects me a little less because I think I'm actually pretty decent speed going north-south. My problem is cutting side to side, all of
Right.
that things. But I'm trying to remember which one is which. One of the has more room behind the net. One of them is actually shorter from the blue line to the net, so there are those differences. But it's weird because last night it was felt a little bit weird as you're you're in Hazel Park, this is the rink of how things feel, but then you go over to Troy, and Troy feels normal to Troy of how that feels. So I don't know why there's that mental thing there.
It is. It's like a total mental block, and it's there, and no matter what we do, we can't get.
I feel like
past
it's
it.
quiet. It's like it's
Maybe
like,
that's it too.
You know what I
because
mean? There's
not as many guys make that trip
Nobody
over for the
really-
10 o'clock
exactly.
game. They stay in the Olympic ice.
Yep.
And I remember back in the day, season 1 and even season 2, like that was, or does season 2, were we on the NHL then, or were we? I don't
Season
remember.
2 we had to be because we went to 16.
That's right,
Season
when-
1 we weren't.
So 100% season 1 when we were 100% on the Olympic ice. That was amazing. Being able, like the 9 o'clock game got over, 10 o'clock game. Anyone that was playing and not subbing that 9 o'clock game, they went and watched it. Now they're kind of like split between two rinks, and I think you're right, dude. I think the NHL is quieter.
It's quieter. Like I don't think like you said, nobody really wants to stay around. There's not. I think the sound system doesn't even work, so you can't get that fun music either. It just
Even like sometimes like the game doesn't
lighting.
even start on time. Like the Zambo
Yeah.
was done. I felt like I had like a 30-minute warm up. You know?
Yeah, a lot of times you have to wait for the first game to get over and then
those
people to
refs.
move their way over. If there's subs
Right.
going through, the refs all to get over. So a lot of times that Olympic ice game does get done sooner. So then you're always behind on those situations. Is there any teams that you think truly benefit with that smaller ice?
Truly benefit. Offhand, I would think maybe a team like the Ducks would benefit from it. Yeah. They have like really good top end speed, but then like overall as a squad, they're maybe one of the slower teams. I mean, every team has gotten so much better. We're so much faster now than we
we're
once
a
were.
way
but,
better league.
overall,
ridiculous.
they're probably one of the slower squads. And so maybe that benefits them a little bit more, but I don't think it's like if I'm watching the Ducks play a game, it's not like, oh man, guarantee they're going to win because they're on the NHL size. It's just maybe like a slight advantage, but nothing in my opinion that can sway a game. I don't know about you, Cam.
I mean, I'm right there with you. It's like, it depends what team shows up that night for your team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a toss up, and I think if you don't have a consistent if you go NHL, and then you like keep on reversing it, like Olympic, NHL, might throw you off a little bit but for the guys like me who play 3 times a week, and I'm like NHL, and then I'll get thrown an Olympic here or there. I like the Olympic. It's just like every time you walk in the rink, you see the Olympic, you see the guys along the boards. You're just like, all right. So I think it's just could be a mind thing. I don't know.
I think it's 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Olympic is a lot
For
of
me at least, I'm a
lot of
goalie. I'm
fun.
weird. So
So with the league this year going over to 7, I know for the Whalers, we had our first bye as well. So I think we got a good group of guys that joined the league. Now you have the people like the Dillons. You got Wood,
Pink
who's
Whitney,
crazy.
man.
You got Mr. Fister and Fister as well. So, a lot of good guys there.
I saw him there again last night.
Oh, he's part of the family now.
he's great, man. He's always fun to talk to too.
Yeah. Also, random, real quick before we move on to the subject, Chris, he actually subbed for us on Friday at WBW, and our scorekeeper wasn't there, and all of a sudden Mr. Pfister goes over there and he starts keeping score for the first
I got it, gents.
2 to 3 minutes of the game before the other guy's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. So he was the hero for the start of the game. So we always appreciate that
Somebody get that guy a jersey.
Yeah.
as well. But how did you think the bye week affected us?
I thought we came out flat. We got 5 or 6 guys who play more than 2 times a week, and then the others, they're just there for their Monday nights. Came off I felt a good win against the Ducks, and then you get that week break. You kind of forget about hockey if you're not playing hockey, which in my mind, doesn't make any sense. But I just thought we came out flat. I think we kind of lost our team sync a little bit after playing 3 weeks in a row consistently, and then you get that week off. It kind of throws you off.
I think for sure. I mean, we haven't experienced ours yet, but I can see that, especially because your guys' was so early in the season that you basically, like you said, you got a big win, the boys are ready to roll, and then you're off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally question. I don't know if it was because of the bye, but I think only being our second game together, it was his first game with the team.
Right.
He didn't make any of those preseason to kind of get that chemistry. I think our team just hasn't got that chemistry together as of yet. So as we slowly develop that chemistry and then have a bye, I'd like to see how that actually gels then. Someone like the Deeks, who I think you guys might be second to last, maybe North Stars are last.
Something
See
like
how
that,
you guys actually come back as you're developing that chemistry possibly a little bit better on the ice. Also, I don't know if it was a coincidence. I noticed the Nordiques have the bye week on a Lions Monday Night Football game.
Convenient, Sometimes it
shucks.
pays to know.
Oh, shucks.
Sometimes it pays to know the schedule guy. No, I think the one thing that I will say about the bye week, I think how many do you guys have? Probably about half your squad ended up playing if they wanted to, or
Yeah, I know I got a
played.
call, so that
You
was
played,
nice.
You played, yeah. So I mean that's pretty cool. And I know that Pierce, you came to help run the score box, which is I think we blacked a little bit of that last week. Or excuse me, yesterday.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is part of the responsibility of the bye week team, right? You're supposed to be the guy that's helping with the reffing. You're helping keep the score box, manning that and being an available sub. So I mean, we're basically a volunteer league too at the same time.
Yeah,
it's
it's
we don't
tough.
have paid guys to do this stuff.
Yeah, it can be tough. I think I showed up on one of the preseason weeks where we didn't actually have a game, the Whalers, and I helped sub. I wanted it for the podcast. I came here.
Right.
And like I said today in Slack, if you show up for these bye weeks, first of all, it helps meet people, especially the new guys.
Yep. Yeah.
You can help with the scoreboards, which is all nice, and any music if you want to do that. Also, bring your gear. That 1 week, I had my gear in my car just in case. I let people know I didn't end up using it, but there were situations we'll talk about a little bit later where someone needs a sub. You have your gear, sure, go grab it. Maybe you get an extra sheet of ice. Maybe some people, you don't want to show up. You want to spend time with your family, things like that. If you're Hal, he would have never even told his wife that he had a bye week. He just would have showed up.
That was some of the best advice Hal ever gave me. He said,
Don't
don't ruin your night.
Don't ever give up Mondays.
Yeah,
That's what he told me too. Don't ever give up your Mondays, man. I'm like, yes, sir.
So we also have our Pick'em, our Auto Family Property Pick'em game. Currently, we do have a URL now if you want to check it, so it should be a lot easier. Pick'em.mnlhl.com. If you want to go and look at the full standings during the week, I try to open up to let everybody view everybody's picks. As Monday goes on, people start sending them in. I try to hide that tab as I'm filling them out to not let people see what other people do for strategic moves. But our current top 4 is Dave Pease in first with 8 points. Dylan has 8 points as well. Gio and Brawny both have 7.5 points as well. And if you're watching this on Twitch or on YouTube, youtube.mnlhl.com, I've also now included a Pick'em section that rotates with our standings as well. So, everybody, we have a pretty good 30-some people participating in
That's
it.
cool.
Auto Family, throw out a prize. I don't know if it's going to be a Wings game, something else, but
Golf
Troy,
lessons with Whoop. Who knows?
All right, let me tell you what. I took golf lessons with Whoop. It was a debacle. Motherfucker showed up 30 minutes late. He's hammered. He doesn't have shoes on, and he shanks the first 4 balls he shoots. And I'm like, "This is my teacher.
Hey, what?
This is Uncle Whoop.
A true John Daly, Just
He's wearing a bathing suit and a golf polo. I'm like, who is this guy? Upside down visor. I'm like, whatever.
God.
Sometimes you don't have to be good at a sport to be able to teach it, though.
That is actually
Fair.
very true.
That,
Yep,
yeah, fair.
that's very
He
true.
did help me. I will give him that. He made me realize just how dumb my stance looked. So,
But I did have a question based on this Pick'em game, though. I think this week I put him out on Fridays. Drager yelled at me about it because I didn't do it on Monday because he said, send it Monday. I need to see subs dog with 2 G's.
With 2 G's.
With 2 G's. Now, here's the thing is, most of the people in general and most of the people who are not actually in the ivory tower, they don't know who's out. They don't know who those subs are. Do we need some kind of Google sheet or something that when people are out, it gets posted in that sheet and whoever's a sub is a replacement just so we know about that? Or would that cause too much controversy as far as, hey, I'm on the bye week this week. Why am I not getting called? Would that be, too useful, or is there too much dynamite behind that?
I
I
think
think the GMs would already kind of have that in the back of their mind.
yeah. As a GM, I'm telling you right now, I agree with you on principle, but
I'm throwing it out there. I'm trying to give both
Sometimes
sides before I
it's-
ask the question.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with you on principle, man. Like I've been a very bad MNLer and I haven't been participating in the pick'em. So I know. I just like throwing the emojis down. I throw the North Stars and the Kesha, and then I leave on Mondays. But
That's all I needed.
right. But I do agree because subs do play sub up, sub down, whatever. It does play into it. And I think we do maybe just need to be a little bit more upfront with it. Maybe we tell the guys, hey, as of, is there a cutoff for the pick'em?
Pretty much I will allow you to email the pick in for the game till it starts.
Okay. So maybe
if
by,
if someone forgets the 9 o'clock game and still wants to send something in at 9:30, I'm not going to count. Like I think Trent
Right.
sent him in at 9:40 or something. I put the 9 o'clock game as blank. I didn't give him a chance to
good.
get those.
Yeah.
Essentially, if they're come in, so there is no cutoff.
Okay.
Just because I have timestamps, where before the emojis, you got to actually look at them, try to write them down. It was more of a pain. Troy said it was pretty difficult to actually keep track of all that. Where I kind of now have a system.
Yeah.
It's very easy for me. It's very fast, and if I don't get around to it right away, there's that timestamp. There's a proof that I'm kind of keeping.
So I mean, I think both you guys have GM'd for spring leagues. And you know how challenging it is. You got guys bailing at a couple minutes before the game even. And then you're trying to find a sub. You're like, oh my gosh, like who's available? Like, and then not
I
only
kind of
is
got lucky. I had Troy on my team, so I just kind of.
You made Troy do all that? Yeah, that's smart. So it's like not only do you have to find who's available, but who's eligible, right? Which we ran into last night. And I think that's one of our topics we're going to discuss. So I do agree with you on principle. Maybe we try to make that a practice by 7 o'clock, say.
Yeah, and I think my thought
we
there,
post
and
who the subs are gonna
one,
be.
I mean, this is a contest. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
Two,
It's a very prestigious award, though.
True. Two, for me as someone doing the podcast, like when we're reviewing these games, like Hedis had to drop out because he's actually subbing for someone at goalie. It was a last second thing.
Right.
When we're reviewing that game, it'd be a lot easier if I could go look at that sheet and say who was out, who was in, be able to do that instead of being just like, I'm clueless on a lot of that stuff, where there's other people who are just like, oh, I fully know that because I'm in the ivory tower. So for me, it's a selfish thing, not only for the pick'em just to know that, but also for the podcast. But like I said, is it the end of the world? Last second subs happen where if they're not there, but just in the middle of the day, it'd be like, oh, this person's out, this person's out. I'm getting my picks in at 6 o'clock. It might be nice to click and just look at it. Like I said, it's just, it's a thought, it's a question, it's a topic.
I think maybe we could throw it into announcements. Like, hey, here's our projected rosters for the night. I mean, I don't want to add more work to the GMs as we go into. I mean, that's prime time for Paney to send out his pregame speech. So I don't need him to also be stressing about putting out his roster for the evening. So
He's got a lot of time on his hands on Mondays now, though.
So
yeah, you're right.
So he gives.
Love you,
He's
Danny.
sending out like whoop-like pregame speeches now.
Baby, get drafted by the Nordiques and you'll find out.
God, I'm not feeling the love for the K-Folks all of a sudden.
K Falks, no way, man. We're 3-0. We're ready to roll this season.
Damn
K-Folks are
straight,
looking
11
hot.
o'clock.
Making it 4-0 tomorrow.
Even though you're not there for us tomorrow.
Nah, we got camera. We're good to go.
Yeah, it's all good. So let's move on to some of the games. So our first game of the night was the North Stars 1 versus the Tigers 3. North Stars, no wins on the night. This is a game that at least I was able to watch the majority of this game. None of us actually participated in it. I know it started out, Skillman had a nice goal. Couple things on the North Stars part. I noticed that Graham and Darren were both moved back to defense. Troy was up to forward. I didn't see all the goals, but I think was it Slocum or Sikorsky, one of those guys, had the game winner for the Tigers. There was an empty netter at the end. How much did you get to watch this game, Cone, and what were your thoughts?
Unfortunately for the 9 o'clock games, I don't always get to watch a ton of him because selfishly, weird goalie thing. I don't like to be rushed when I'm putting on my gear. I don't know how Hedis does it, man. Like I wish he was.
How does he do it?
I don't know, dude. Like it's
I
like
need a solid maybe 45 to 30 minutes.
Yeah,
before,
like usually like halfway through the second period is when I start putting on my gear and then start stretching and stuff like that. So I put on my gear and then I watched the last 10 minutes, but I did get to watch most of the first period and a good chunk of the second. And it seemed like it was like back and forth. Like there was no, from what I was watching, there was no clear cut. Like man, like the Tigers are going to pull away from this game. They're going to dominate. But
yeah, and I believe the first 2 goals or 3 goals were shorties as well, which it was, I know off the start, the Tigers, they had a penalty, and all of a sudden they came down and they got that shorthanded goal, which must have been a blow.
That's detrimental if you're on the, power play. Like, it's like, oh, man, really?
So, so Darren, Graham are moved back to defense. Is that a smart move? I know Troy got moved up, and I'm trying to think who was the other person that got moved up, but is that the way to go for them, or are they still fuddling with those lineups?
I mean, I personally think they're still fuddling with it. They can't score. So, I mean, I think that they need to break it all down, maybe have a team bar night and figure it all out, have a cup of coffee and figure out what's going on. I just think they're just falling apart. I don't know.
I've played a lot of hockey with Skillman's team on Thursdays, the Admirals, which Judge plays on, and he's normally a defenseman on that team. And he's a puck-carrying defenseman, and it's almost like a quarterback back there, man. Like he sees the breakout passes long before it happens, and he's really good at just coasting it. And he scores a lot of goals that way. So, I mean, I don't want to tell Troy what to do and have him all of a sudden start scoring, but if I had Judge on my team as a goalie, he would be one of my defensemen.
Yeah, and I've also played with the Admirals too, and the exact same thing. But he's also kind of quarterbacking for the North Stars. I just think
At center.
Yeah, I think he maybe be a little bit more selfish. I haven't really seen him shoot. He's just trying to get that setup going, but it's hard league, man. I think teams are starting to figure it out really quick.
I think with a lot of the new guys, they struggle. They don't know.
Yeah.
Like, oh hey, yeah, like
maybe they're trying to vibe with the league,
guy.
understand the league.
Right. Yeah. I'm not going to be selfish. I'm not going to take that shot. I'm going to pass it to
I like
guy
this
over
guy.
there.
He was nice to me. Handed me a beer. I don't know. Like it's. That's the thing.
With Judge, I've seen him play both. I really liked him at defense during, I guess, I don't know, the tryouts or whatever those skates were at the beginning were. North Stars, seen him play a little bit of both. He's a good player, obviously, on that side of things. It sounds like Suits got a goal or got the goal for the North Stars. I thought Troy looked pretty good, actually, at forward. He's a smart hockey player. He knows where to go. Carson plays hockey, so he probably gets a lot of tips, sees what's going on there. The one thing I noticed, which I'm assuming he's going to be able to correct because we've seen him score goals in the past, he was missing the net left and right. It just might be a bad day type of thing, so that could be obvious. I actually saw Ty do a couple nice things as well as getting in front of the net, being in the spot, being a pain in the ass. That's what you actually need out of Ty to have him be productive. If you get that 10th round or 9th rounder there doing that, it's really going to help you out.
100%, dude. If your late round guy's not afraid to go to the front of the net and just cause trouble up there, that's going to make your team so much better. And I agree with you, Piercy. I saw him a couple times, like really good tips, really good screens on Officer Aaron, and it didn't go their way. But if they keep doing that, don't abandon the game plan just because it didn't work one game. If you see good things, stick to it.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. So it's hard to say. Right now, they haven't won a game. They've played 3 games. A couple teams, I think 3 teams have only played 2 games. It's getting close to desperation time for them. We'll talk a little bit more about that, I think, kind of in our power ranking / standing segments. So let's move on to the next game of the night. Unfortunately, with Hedis out, I know he was subbing for this. None of us got to see this game. The Seals won, the Ducks 3. The big thing I think we're going to cover here
I heard a lot of complaining from Whoop about Proctor. I think that
I heard something about a sub, like a sub up situation.
So the big thing of the night,
he
it
was
sounds like
upset about it. He just kept on bringing it up. So really? I didn't hear much of it. I just kept on hearing, well, the sub. I'm like,
from what I heard, Jim Ellis was a last minute scratch. Simonelli got subbed in for him. I know Wilkie played the 9 o'clock game as a sub. From what I heard, he was asked as well. Charles was already taken as a sub. Next lowest guy there. To me, last second time things happen. You can't always expect everybody to be there. Wilkie, he's actually that late guy. He was there.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys don't want to. Some guys don't have it in them or don't want to play that second game. To me, it sounds as fair as it could have been under the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think in executive Busta was he apologized several times, like, you know, explaining him that, like, you know, this wasn't intentional, you know, like a guy bailed 20 minutes before the game. I can't.
Yeah, I need that extra player no matter what it might happen.
Right, and I think that's better to do that than it is to play a guy at than to skate 9. Skating 9 isn't fair at all.
I was gonna say it comes down to, are you cool with having that sub of Simonelli, who's probably 8th, 9th rounder,
right,
in that situation? Are you cool with 9? There's gonna be complaints either way, because I know you can make arguments on certain teams. I think the Whalers did this a lot season 1, where they were missing a guy. All of a sudden, Trent's playing, 3/4 of the game, dominating at defense, and everybody's like, this is BS. So it's a lose-lose situation for the Ducks. They did the best they can. And to me, I can't really complain about that. I mean, I was giving a little bit of shit and slack today of like, maybe they should give them one of their points or whatever. But from here, they tried everybody else. Everybody was full. It's like, what are you going to do, man?
I think the ultimate ruling from executive was they're actually going to start the next time those two teams play each other. They're going to the Ducks are going to start on on the penalty kill. They're gonna start the game with a 2-minute penalty. I think that's how it got settled. I was like super swamped at work today, so I wasn't able to keep up with all their shenanigans. But I think that's how they settled it. Because Boston was more or less saying like, dude, like I recognize this, but they're not going to take
Is
the
that
points
an
away or
MNL
anything
first
crazy.
points?
That might be enough. If it ends up, I don't want to be spreading fake news here.
Yeah,
but
right. Hashtag.
Well, I'll say this: Buster's a nicer guy than me, because I wouldn't agree to that. It seemed like they did everything they could. I think it's a fair.
It was 2 honorable men there talking about it in executive. It was Busta and Whoop.
Wait. You
guys.
said 2 honorable men. So Busta was talking to Shawnee about
No,
this?
Uncle Whoop was on there, man. Uncle Whoop was in agreement, and he knew what happened, and he wasn't causing too much of a fit about it. It was,
and that's actually one of the things this year when one team doesn't make the playoffs, every point counts a lot more. Where I've heard before last year, like, oh boys, it's no big. Like last year, Whoop gave a lot of slack in subbing to the other teams for subbing up. He was always just like, boys, it doesn't really matter. Like, everybody makes the playoffs. Let's have a good time. But this year, someone's not making the playoffs. You want to get out to that hot start. You want to kind of ensure your spot, and you don't want to take those risks. But I think everything was handled as good as possible. Like I said, unfortunately, none of us saw this game. It's why I always try to get someone from every game would be the ideal situation with the podcast. Is there anything else anybody actually wants to cover here? If not, we're going to kind of be spinning our wheels into kind of guesses here.
I think we're just guessing at this point. If we don't know what really happened, I didn't even hear like any big saves or nice goals. It
was just a game.
It was just a game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say about the Seals, though, is like I said, Pfister did skate for us on WW, and he looked good out there. He's fast. He controlled the puck. I think he was a little bit underrated coming into the draft. I know Hedis preached that a lot, and I feel like he's kind of right. I feel like if we redrafted today, he'd probably be a first-round pick.
I would say top 5. I wouldn't go first. But
there's 7 teams, Doc.
Huh?
There's 7 teams. You said top 5, and you don't need 5th rounder, do you?
No, Jesus. What's in this?
Cut this guy off.
Only had half a beer. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, it's tough, dude.
It's a debate.
Yeah, I mean, so we had that last pick in the first round, and is he better than Andy Fem? I don't know. I'll get back to you guys in a couple of weeks. I haven't. My biggest judge of character, when I watch a team play, I'm always like, man, that guy looks good. That guy looks good. Whatever. I don't really know until I have to face them.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, oh wait, this guy's legit. He scares me, right? Like he's a scoring threat every time he has the puck on his stick.
And I'm still at the point, like, after you have Matt Taylor, you have Proctor, you have Sugar, like, it's a toss up after that. Like, to me, Pete's still like the next guy on the board, but Pete went in the second round, and there's a lot of varying opinions, and that's one of the great things about the league right now.
Right.
So our last game of the night was the Whalers 0, the Nordiques 2. So I'll start with a few observations on this game. I thought the Nordiques played a great neutral zone defense from their forwards. They were giving us trouble all night and really messing up our passes. The Nordiques right now, to me, they feel like they're gelling really good. Those two different lines of the Fem, Geo, kind of your speed line. You kind of have the veteran line, which Pete's still fast. Kimmel has speed when he wants to. Those lines are really gelling well together. Not to mention Justin, he had his goal. On the other side, the Whalers, we were just looking, I don't know, last days ago. I don't know if it's our lack of chemistry. I had a horrible turnover that caused that second goal. Dave P was kind
I
of.
thought it was the too many men that caused that second
You
goal.
didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish.
Either way.
I had the
could go
puck.
both ways.
I looked. Dave P was calling for the puck. I passed it over. It got intercepted. Some people said it was actually a lot of people said it was 6 man on the ice. I think even Proctor and them said I didn't see it. To me, it was a stupid pass. Probably either way. So in either way,
Did you pass it up the boards to him?
I was going across, and apparently Fem jumped off the boards and like kind of went in there, so I might not have seen him. I mean, I pass those pucks where I don't see those guys all the time. We didn't score either way, so it's not like it's something we can super cry about. So horrible pass by me. I felt like a jackass there. But in Cone, you played good. I thought we had some opportunities. Dave P hit the crossbar on you once, but you came up and you got the shutout on us. So
Big old donut.
well, from the other end or spectrum of it, what did you see, Cone?
I think you hit on like a lot of the good points. And actually, when I got into the locker room last night, that was one of the first things I said to the guys was we did such a good job of neutralizing them in their own zone, not even in the neutral zone, in our offensive zone. You guys thought you were ready to do a breakout, and then here comes Andy picking a pocket, or here comes Pete picking a pocket, and now you guys don't even get it out of your zone, let alone into the neutral zone for a break. I thought they did a really, really good job of that. And when you're playing defense, you're back checking in your own offensive zone, things are going to go your way. So, but at the same time, I felt like maybe we controlled a lot of the time of possession, but I don't think we controlled the shots on goal, which usually the two correlate really well. But I felt like the shots on goal were relatively even. We just, even though we had control of the puck, we weren't maybe getting shots on you.
Yeah, I don't feel like I felt or faced a lot of shots.
I felt like it was like maybe
night.
only about like 15 or so.
Yeah.
It wasn't like one of those nights where it's like you were constantly getting peppered.
Just a,
Yeah, so
save
Cam,
here or there.
from the other goalie perspective, what did you see then?
Kind of what Cone touched on. Like they were just forechecking us and just shutting us down. They were playing us tight. Didn't have a lot of room to move. We couldn't get a breakout going. When we did get a breakout, it would kind of get shut down at their blue line just from the forwards coming back and jumping into play. I don't know. I think that we came out flat too.
I definitely felt that way in the first period.
It
I don't
was
think I
just-
faced my first shot on goal until maybe about 5-6 minutes in.
Exactly.
And
I
don't know about you, but I hate playing that way. I want to see my first shot.
Yeah,
like the first
exactly.
minutes,
I want to get the first one out of the way and keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
But yeah, we came out flat. It's very slow. I don't know. It's that NHL eerie feeling. I don't know. Maybe the bye week had something to do with it. I just think we came out.
There was almost too much warm up time where the ice before
Probably
us they get
15
done
minutes,
like
if not more.
Well, there's like a half hour in between skates there, so we can get out there as soon as we want. We can kind of skate around, and that can sometimes, I don't know if it affects us. I personally didn't feel like it hurt me, but I know other people they said it felt weird. So I don't know what other people thought there.
I mean, we're just beer league athletes, but we're still athletes, So we get to. You fall in a pattern. You do the same thing most guys do the same thing every game day and whatever. So all of a sudden your routine's thrown off a little bit by having this 15-minute warm up.
Yep.
And you're like, can we just get this game started already?
Exactly.
And
how many shots can you face before you actually face shots?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's a weird thing, and it's been mentioned multiple times on the podcast and even today. The league has gotten better.
Yeah.
And even for me, I feel like in the last 3 to 4 months, I've become a better player as well. I've gotten better with my passing. Like Lupudre's forced me to do D-to-D passes, which actually started to help me out there some.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as I feel like I've become a better passer, and the league getting better and kind of getting into more like we need the breakout passes, all that. It has also made me start doing dumber things or take bigger chances, which is then like the turnover last night turns into that, where feels like such a double-edged sword, where probably back in the day I would throw it up the boards, it would clear, and we'd be fine there. But then I made 4 or 5 like really nice passes that hit the people, kind of got it up there. Those situations never would have happened either, because I probably would have just cleared it up the board. So it's like, at what point do I continue to try to make those passes and, try to help the team out like with more advanced hockey or whatever you want to call it? Or how much do I want to be like, I'm that 8th, 9th round defensive player that's just going to throw it up the boards and be safe and not do damage to the team?
Well, I'd rather see guys be aggressive, man.
Same.
I mean,
and we were down in the game too.
Especially exactly, dude. You're down
a goal in the
dude,
game.
It's like
you
what,
need
like halfway through the third.
Yeah.
I mean, down 1 goal, dude. I mean, that was crazy. And if that connects to Dave and he's got a little breakaway going and he scores, I mean, that's a completely different game. So I keep doing you, Piercy.
So we're going to move on to the OFP power rankings that we've done the last 2 weeks, where we kind of review Troy's power rankings, say if we agree or disagree, and we're on that team. We'll kind of say where they belong, where we think they belong, if we disagree with it. So Troy's first team on this list would be the Tigers. They're undefeated. They're 2-0. Riley's been playing great the last couple of weeks. As of right now, it's hard to argue with this pick. I'm going to say I agree with it until they lose, until someone puts a test on them. I don't know how you could argue this. Cam, your thoughts?
I'm going to go, that's pretty accurate. New team in the league trying to establish dominance early. Riley's playing unreal, 0.5 save percentage right now. Already has a donut. Like we said, it's if Riley's on and the Tigers figure out how to mesh, they're going to be good, and they're proving that right now.
Exactly, dude. Like 2 games into the season, that it hasn't been the Taylor brothers taking this over. The storyline has been Officer Aaron playing so good,
lights out.
So I mean,
maybe he's a guy. I mean, he's an athletic dude. Like he's
in good shape.
He's got veins popping out of his arms when you see him. So. Wearing baby Gap shirts, making us all look bad. But
so it sounds like we're all in agreement on the Tigers.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
Before we move on to team number 2, I just got to say, Mr. Dave Peace is a sweet talker right now. He's saying to me, you shut down first rounders all game, baby.
All game,
make
baby.
plays.
Pitter, patter.
He knows how to sweet talk people, just like I tell him to shoot the puck because he's going to score. So, me and him, we're deadlocked on that one. Troy's second team on the list would be your team, Cone, the Nordiques. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think based on the fact that it's supposed to be week to week, you take a little bit of the previous data, but it's really supposed to be. I always view power rankings as an 80-20 split. It's 80% week to week, and then you take 20% is historical data. So we're 2-1 or 2-1.
Yep.
We got a 2-0 win over a team that in the beginning during the preseason was the perceived heavy favorites. I think you have to put us at number 2, but that doesn't mean that that's necessarily where we're going to fall at the end of the year. But this week, I would say it has to be the number 2 spot.
Cam, where do you have the Nordiques?
I'm gonna have to agree with that. The loss last week was unfortunate, but against the Tigers, but they played solid last night. They played well in week 1. Who do you guys got next week?
Americans, yeah.
Americans.
Yeah. I'm out next week, so I haven't been paying too much attention to it.
Oh, no.
You're a GM. You should be knowing this. You should be setting up your replacement, all
new
this.
job. I get it.
So I actually have the Nordiques as my number 3 team. It's not a shot at the Nordiques. I just like another team better. I think right now with the records, if you look at it, you have 3 teams all with 6 points. Actually, my second team isn't even one of those teams.
Really?
Really?
So who do you got?
Or actually, wait, nope. I have the Nordiques at 4 now that I look at it.
Wow,
So.
just
Spicy,
really
spicy.
dropping down the podium total
But
right there.
like I said, that's not a shot against them. I think they're a good team. I think I was slightly higher than a lot of teams during the preseason. When I subbed for you guys that time, I said I was really impressed with how you guys fit together. It's continued to be that way.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it many times. All these teams, you're not going to be surprised if the North Stars go on a winning streak, beating any team.
No.
You're not going to be surprised if any team loses every game. Right now, I think this is the probably the tightest ever the league has been as far as talent and how equal we are. So
Absolutely.
saying, a 2 to a 4, that's not a shot against a team in my book.
No, not like it was 2 years ago.
Because next week it's a whole different spectrum.
Right.
Exactly. So Troy's number 3 team would be the Americans. They're on the bye. Simonelli had a good pick. This feels right as far as one of the preseason favorites. I'll go here. To me, I actually have the Americans as my number 2 team. I like where this team is talent-wise. They have J-Flow. They have Proctor.
Yep.
They have a lot of other
Antioch.
Antioch's right there. I feel like Manny's been a good pick. I believe they have Myers as well, who was a guy that I was super high on.
Yep.
Me and Cam were looking at before you showed up. He went in the 8th round. I feel like that was a steal.
It was.
I feel like they're a quality team. They don't have many holes, and just having that top line goalie and that top line offensive player. Really, with Antioch, you could say 2 top line players. I want to say I was looking at it. I don't have the video in front of me. Antioch might be leading the league in points as of right now.
1 second.
So he's right up there. So for me,
Pfister's leading the league and Antioch's in second.
okay. Antioch's, I think, in one of those spots, leading one of the either goals or assists, one of those 2. But it just kind of shows you there. So to me, they're my number 2 pick. Where do you have them?
They're 1-1, correct?
Yeah.
I actually have them at the number 4 spot. I still have the Seals above them.
Same.
In the number 3.
Same.
I know the Seals lost last night, but there was the sub up controversy. In addition to that, Uncle Whoop, he really subbed down twice, from my understanding. He took guys that were maybe perceived as lower than what his guys were out.
So he had Charles in there, and who was his other guy?
I don't know offhand. I thought there was 2. Was it just Charles? Was it just Big Cat?
I'm trying to. Who was
I
out?
don't know.
Who
You're
was
right,
out
dude.
for
Now
them,
that I'm here, it would be beneficial to know who the subs
Yeah,
were.
exactly.
But I think the Seals are legit, man.
But
I
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm
who
worried
their
about
last
the
pick
Seals.
is.
That's like
100%. I'm so
in my
nervous about
mind.
playing them. They're so fast.
They're fast. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be hard to get past Dylan.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting game when we play.
Shawnee
Seals.
lives in my head as well.
Oh, does
like,
he?
Dude, like he.
Well, he's definitely going to be living in mine this year after
Yeah.
that bet. So.
There was one game last year where we lost to the Golden Shawnees. Like he literally scored all 5 goals.
Oh yeah.
So-
I remember that.
So you guys both had the Americans at 4, Seals
At 4.
at 3.
Yeah.
So I have the Seals at 3 as well, and then the Deeks at 4. I agree with you. The Seals, to me, they're kind of like that make it or break it team as far as they could win it all or they could fall apart out of nowhere because I just look at the general. Like, he's been here every week. Will he continue that? I mean, signs look good right now. I'm seeing him posting baby pictures on Instagram. He
Right.
seems like he's pretty happy in life. All good signs, but out of nowhere he could miss 8 weeks in a row, and that team could go spiraling down as well.
For me, I agree. Yeah, they could easily go into a spiral. And to me, Dylan's been that guy for me. For whatever reason, I have like flashbacks to when we had not the real Jimmy Howard in the league. and like he just like was awesome.
I have
He's
his
like,
jersey. The North.
dude, really? He was like all in for like 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden like just ghosted us. I don't think he's gonna do that. Like this guy seems to like love everything about this league, and
Oh, he's all in.
I think we,
I
I think
guarantee
we
he's
saved
probably
Dylan.
watching the podcast.
I
Right
think
now.
we saved Dylan's life. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know anything about the guy, but like,
yeah, he's awesome, dude. I love having him out in the blue light party deck. He's hilarious.
oh yeah. So number 5 on Troy's list would be the Mighty Ducks. Kind of controversy here. Sounds like they had some sub ups against the Seals. They lost to the Whalers, but to me, the Whalers. I'm going to give it to the Ducks. I'm going to agree with number 5 here. They had an impressive win here. They took the Whalers to overtime, so that was kind of a coin toss there.
It's taking that little bit of history.
So, yeah, I'm good with that. Thoughts, Cone?
It's a real flip flop. I want to put the Whalers ahead of you guys, ahead of the Ducks, though. The Ducks just haven't really proved it. Like for how good that squad is.
Yeah.
Is like I expect so much more out of them.
Yeah.
And like it just hasn't been there yet. But I think it will because their defense is so good at moving the puck.
Defense is really good. I mean, they had that last week when I saw it. That was just everything just fell apart. It's like,
Yeah, but you know what, dude? I think that's also kind of working against them a little bit. Is that they're on that little bit of the goalie carousel. I mean, I've been there on the
Exactly,
deep.
yeah.
I mean, I just brought up not the real Jimmy Howard being in the league. That sucked, dude. Like until we landed on you, it was a goalie carousel, dude. We never knew who was going to be in net from week to week.
And
that's hard when you're
until Ryan Z comes back and he's
I was
healthy.
to say, has there been any talk in the goalie channel about
I haven't
his
seen
situation?
a single message from
Last,
Z.
last I heard, because technically he would have to be the guy I asked to sub for next week when I'm out. I asked Busta, and he said he's supposed to have a meeting with the doctor later this week. So hopefully things come back good. He can come back and play because
I'd like to see him.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's a solid tendy. I mean, he number 2 in GAA last year, so
Number one.
number one
Number
on like a
one.
bad knee. So
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I ran to the fridge to get another beer, so I don't know. Did you give your opinion on the Ducks game?
Me and him are kind of going back and forth with it. I don't think the Ducks have proved themselves yet. It's hard. It's they have a strong D core. They can do well. But like last week, 7-2. I felt like that was kind of my fault a little bit. I didn't play that solid, but I'm gonna have to go like us, the Whalers, over the Ducks.
yeah,
I mean, I can see it. I feel like I give ourselves not the benefit of the doubt, the Whalers, because I try not to be too homery in the podcast. Kind of just moving on. I hear where you guys going, so you guys are putting them at 6. I'm fine with the 5. I'll put the Whalers at 6. We had our first week where we went to overtime.
that was a 3-2 win, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I subbed in net for the Ducks that
Yep.
game. Yeah.
I felt like you played really good. You guys held them in the game, but it still went into overtime there. So that's kind of a hard thing there. Where it's not like it was a dominant win there. We lost this week where we didn't score a goal either.
I felt like you guys dominated that first game. Truly, like when I was in net, you guys were getting a lot of breakaways. You guys have so much speed on your team with Serta and Trent and Dave P and Serta and Peso. So much speed and so many
Piercy.
shooters and Piercy with those beautiful breakout passes. 3 out of 4 breakout passes are amazing.
For the record,
Piercy.
in that Ducks
All
game,
glory.
Drager will verify this. I skated down Sugar that game. So
I agree with that.
That's amazing. That's awesome, dude.
So-
he's one fast hockey player for sure.
I just don't think he was expecting it. So.
Silent sleeper Piercy over here.
But yeah, either way, our one win wasn't super impressive by going there. We lost 2-0 here. Our offense has not been where you think it's gonna be. Our defense, giving up 2 goals a game, so not horrible. You would think if you told the Whalers, I think before the season started, you just got to put up 3 a game, we'd be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But as of right now, Ike had his first game with us. Our chemistry fully isn't there. I don't think necessarily that we should be making line changes right now, but if it goes a few more games, it might be something that we could consider because I think we have a lot of options that we could do
Yeah.
to change things up without making trades and still look.
It's just a chemistry thing,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
we
like,
threw
you
in a new
guys-
guy into the mix, kind of like.
Exactly.
Was he playing defense last night?
No, he was playing forward
Yep.
for us,
Okay.
but
so
still
him
on
and,
that
him
line.
and Venandi were the
But he
other
was
wings.
definitely back in the zone with the D a lot.
Was he? Okay, because I thought he played defense before, but I could be mixing him up with someone
Don't
else.
know the guy.
As far as I know, he played 90% forward in all the kind of preseason tryout type stuff. So, maybe it's something we'll ask, kind of look into. I think he hasn't played since he missed every one of the preseason games. I think he just
Right.
kind of made the tryouts. He was, I think, for work. He's been down in Kentucky. So, things happen, but, he's got to kind of get back into that form. And he's got to, he looked super impressive. A lot of people were very high on him during those tryouts. He started out slow, but you saw a lot of good things on just cutting corners. He had some nice speed. He's a nice skater.
Watch him just light up the league next week. Just we were
So-
all wrong.
And as far as an 8th rounder, I'm not super great pick still there. I feel like so.
Dude, if you're getting goals, I feel like your late round guys are even scoring chances. Like that's all you want out of that. So that's
That's the
amazing.
point.
And that's one of those things. Like even for you guys, Justin.
Yeah.
Last year he had a good amount of goals, and like people were like, "Is that a fluke or whatever?" Like
Most improved, right?
Yeah,
Most improved?
Or
Like-
most valuable bender. I know I think he
I think
came
it was
away with
most
2
improved.
awards.
Yeah, he came. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like
Most
I
improved.
said this last year, and I'll say it again. I think everybody's skill has improved. I don't know if he's had like a giant jump in skill, but his positioning has gotten really good.
Dude,
he
he's
goes
gotten
where
really
he
good
needs
at-
to
yeah.
go. And there's nothing wrong than standing in the right position where a rebound comes out and finishing home. And,
Easy-
you need to
easy
do
hockey.
that. That's where you can make
Pure
your
example
money.
of last night too.
Yeah, exactly, dude. He was just in the right spot, right time. You
Yep.
know, he just and
Reading
he
the
had
play.
to stick on the ice.
Yep.
You know, I
It
can't tell you
wasn't
how
up.
many times in the past, you know, because like you said, he's a K-foul guy. I've played with him a long time, and he would have his stick up at his waist. He had a stick on the ice, waiting for that. You know, he didn't know that pass was coming, but he skated right into it and put it in. That's exactly what you're supposed to do in those situations. And I think where he's also really improved is like you said, his positioning and his skating and getting the puck out of the R zone and just chipping it up. And you know, he
He was
benefited
playing the
f-
boards a lot last night too, so
Exactly,
he's
dude.
starting to float it past the D. He knows if he can't get past the defense, he's just gonna chip it right up the boards.
You
on
got
the
a
backhand.
you got a fast center. Just chip it up into the neutral
Yep.
zone and let them do their
Yep,
thing.
and
You
then
know,
coast back into the hash and wait for a pass.
mm-hmm.
So
bust
there
his,
you go.
bust his life.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Get at the
Always
sugar
waiting.
and wait at the
Yep.
hash marks.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the last team on the power rankings, obviously, is the North Stars. This team, you know,
We're
Every-
all sighing
every-
right now.
every-
Just, where do we
I'm
go with
trying to
this
think
one?
how to put this. Everybody, you know, all the years are like, fuck the North Stars, all that kind of stuff.
know.
But at the same time, well, actually, Ty's probably been talking a little bit more, but Ty's been relatively well behaved. But you know, you feel that hate from, or not hate, hurt from Troy. He's a little bit quieter, a little bit slower on getting out his power rankings. He doesn't kind of have that, you know, spring in his step. Some ways you feel bad, but just remember, like there's that year, you guys might be too young for this. Duke Coach K was out for like a full year with a back injury. They were horrible. You kind of started feeling like, oh, these poor guys. It's almost like when Notre Dame's bad for a while. Then Notre
Right.
Dame gets good again, and you're just like,
fuck them.
God, I hate those guys. Why did I ever think that? So one thing is, let's all take a deep breath and let's enjoy this moment because it's a great moment in MNL history having them at the bottom of the power rankings.
That's a little bit how I felt last night. Was like,
Yeah, it was
man,
just like-
I want them to lose, but not really. I want
I'm
them
waiting.
To
I'm waiting for
win.
banners. You know, like when people like start showing up to our games. You know, that crowd. Just start having that. You know, circle through the North Star logo and just hold it up every time you play a team or whatever. Just
As-
nope.
as a team that like he's picked on probably the most for the past 3 years
Yeah.
on the Deeks.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember, I mean, dude, he used to literally come out with the power rankings and then like team, you know, the next to last place team, he would list them off and then he would be like, Pesos jockstrap, then the Deeks, and it's like, dude, fuck you, man. Like, fuck you.
So maybe it's karma. You know, coming around full circle right
the
now.
one 12 and 1 K Falcons,
Right,
then
yeah.
the Nordiques. It was just like, oh, yeah, you're cute.
And then even last year, him and I, you know, like the Deeks and the North Stars were going back and forth. Like that was a great matchup. It was always 1 versus 2 pretty much all season. And then even that wasn't as satisfying as I thought. This would be super satisfying, and it's kind of not.
So, the North Stars, what do they need to do to start winning, in your opinion?
Honestly, I've been that bottom of the barrel team, probably more than anyone else in the league. Don't fuck with the lineup too much. Find
Yeah.
something that you like Cam said earlier. Talk to your boys, figure it out. Right? It doesn't have to just be Troy trying to figure it out by himself. You know, talk to your co-GM. Talk to your leadership. You know, guys that you
Yeah.
view as like the guys that are going to be a little
Yep.
bit more vocal.
Who's the charge in the locker room there?
Exactly, dude. Because it's not always the GM.
No.
You know, and
I can't see Ty being very like when I subbed in the final, it was mainly Troy talking.
yeah.
It was a very quiet locker room.
I
So-
also question some of the personalities on that team. How will they respond to Troy if he just starts badgering?
With like a new guy, and you know what? I even said it. I think it was like week
Or even
one.
like a Cuttingham. Like, I don't think
Right, he
that's
might be
going to
like,
be
"Fuck
how he's going to
this."
respond.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I remember week 1, he puts, you know, he's just putting out the power rankings, and then he calls out Hedis, and I'm like, ooh, bold move calling out your Tendy in general there. You
And
know,
as a
Like,
goaltender, that's a mental game. Like, hey,
Yeah.
bro, like, what about the 4 defensive letdowns, or
Right.
you know, like, if
how about
it-
the time you pass it straight to their guy?
yeah,
you know?
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
that's a tough.
I'm not going to, as a defenseman, like one of the things was being a forward, like as a wing, like I'm covering my point. Like most of the time it'd be like, oh, it's on someone else. But then like as a defenseman, most of the time I feel like everything's my fault no matter what. It could be, it might be, it probably is me. But either way, like
I'm just kidding.
there are times when your goalie gives up a soft one, but
Oh, absolutely.
when it comes
happens.
down to it, goalies are a little fragile in the head.
Oh, here comes the topic
Hey.
you've been waiting for.
I
So-
know. Well, he waited until the head of the goalie union was here.
Yes,
too.
yes,
You
I
think
like
that
it.
GM strikes bad? Wait until the goalie union leaves. You know.
Illumintendi out.
You didn't let me finish though. But even if my goalie gives up a softie, I'm gonna have his back.
Easy
and
with
I'm
your
gonna,
words right now.
And I'm gonna take the blame. And even if I don't truly believe it's my fault,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's my fault because I want to have my goalie's back. I want to make sure that he knows I have confidence in him, and I want him to stay confident. I might not 100% believe it, but you need to support that goalie because he's the most important position out there for your team to win.
And the
Right.
most mental.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
Either crazy or, name it. But
Yeah. So if I was giving the North Stars any advice, it's don't hit the panic button just yet. Talk.
well,
talk to
we're
your
only
boys.
week 3. We're going into week 4.
dude.
Like there's so much hockey.
So much.
There's so much hockey.
I mean, it's
like,
not January. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. It's not like grind time. I think teams will, if they can't turn it around, maybe they get a win here in the next 3 weeks, and then they get more losses. If with the 7 teams now, that one team's not making the playoffs, if I'm Troy, I'm sweating. Like, what's going on? Why
Yeah.
is it not
Yeah.
working?
It's a little bit scary because Suits has scored a couple goals.
Mhm.
I feel like Troy can get a couple of his, I'm in the right spot. I'm going to
Yeah.
finish it. We haven't seen, Judge really score a lot yet. I feel
No.
like he's a really good player. Darren is a good player, but he's not a scorer. I don't
He's
think
not,
their
but he's
team.
a lockdown defenseman. a lot of
Yeah, but the
times.
problem is
Also an offensive defenseman like last year.
Mhm.
it's almost like the Seals as last year.
Yep.
Do they have the people that can score? Because if you can't score in this league, you can't win. It's very rare you're going to be winning games consistently 1-0, 1-1, 2-1. You need to put up those goals. I am a little bit concerned that they don't have the horses to do that.
I really thought goal scoring would go up this year,
It's not.
and it hasn't. It's gone.
No.
I believe it's gone down.
Yeah.
I mean, you maybe throw away the one game that you were talking about last week, the 7-goal game. Throw that out of the
Just
window.
want to bring that up. I felt like that was all on me, and then everybody's like, "No, that was all on us." I'm like, "Nah."
They're just being polite.
Yeah, they're like, Cam, you suck. You're never subbing for the Ducks again. But yeah, I mean, besides last week, I think it's going to be tight every game. I think the goaltenders have gotten better. Bringing in Dylan, you've played tremendously better. Like it will be interesting to see what Z does when he comes back. So, but right now, yeah, low scoring for adding a bunch of new players. So.
Yeah, and for the standings right now, for people who can't see, we have the Tigers, the Golden Seals, the Nordiques, all with 6 points in the first place position. Tigers, I would say, are technically first place because they only have 2 games versus 3 games for their 2 teams.
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks have 4 points, Americans 3, Whalers 2, North Stars 0 points. But Americans and Whalers have only played 2 games as well. So that means the North Stars with 0 points, they're a game behind the next 2 teams, which has to put a lot of pressure on them.
Wow, I didn't really ever think about it that way. Yeah, with the
Yeah.
bye weeks and yeah, that kind of puts a new little bit of perspective on it.
Because you start thinking about it, you're like, oh man, the Whalers are super disappointed. 2 points there. If we come in next week and win, all of a sudden we have 3 games for 5 points.
Right.
Technically that's only a
Exactly.
point behind the other teams that all have the 3 games.
Right.
So it's not as bad as it looks for our team there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have someone like the Whalers, or I'm sorry, the North Stars, who have already played their 3 games, that starts to get scary really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You can drop off the totem really quick.
And I did a little bit of research where I started looking at the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And one of the things which I didn't actually realize till today, because I thought it was going to be the same, we actually only have 18 games this year. Every other season we've had 20.
Is that because of the buys or is that because of
So we had the first 3 seasons we had
Holidays.
20 weeks. We have 21 weeks this year plus buys. It gave us 18. I checked every team just to make sure I was wrong there. So that means each team has a possible max of 54 points instead of 60 points. Total points in the league, one extra team is only 9 extra points out. Last year was a total of 180 was our max points versus 189 for the league total. They get spread around. Looking at things, I think it was the last 2 years with 6 teams, it was like 21-ish points. Was that 5th place?
Okay.
All the other teams were, or the last place team was all around between 12 and 15. I think if I had to guess, spreading that out, 17 points is going to get you in the playoffs.
I think, adding another team. Yeah,
Only
probably
9 more points. It gets spread around where you're averaging, essentially
come out
like
from somewhere.
under 20 was going to get you like that lock-in spot. So I'm thinking like 16 to 17 points.
You're talking
gets you in
just
the
gets
playoffs.
you in. It makes you the 6th
Get you
best
that
team.
6th best team when you're
Okay.
spreading those teams around. It's a guess on my point, but all of a sudden, if you start having that a 5-point differential, like if
What is that like? That's only like 5 wins though, right?
I mean it's only 5 wins,
which makes it like crazy to think of. Because how many total games you said? 18 games.
18.
18 games.
So you would really
You have a
hope for
losing
5.
record,
Yeah.
but I mean, I got.
Jeez, who knows, man? Like,
Yeah.
this league is changing every year. Like, even when I started 2 years ago and only started halfway, and then last year where it went, and now this year, like, what is going on? Like, it's a toss up every week, like we all discuss.
So that actually gets me to next week's games. We have the Whalers versus the North Stars, Americans, Nordiques, and then we have the Tigers and the Seals with the Ducks on the bye. That Whalers North Stars game becomes crucial because if the Whalers can beat the North Stars, all of a sudden the Whalers have 5 points, played 1 less game. The North Stars are down essentially 5 points with 1 game to make. When we essentially talk about probably 15 to 16 points are getting you in the playoffs, that becomes trouble really fast.
Or they could leapfrog you guys then. And have
Exactly,
3
but they would
points.
still have there'd still be a 1 game advantage
in
there,
hand.
which you always have to think about. But it starts becoming crucial of why every game counts so much more than in the past. Because if one team gets off to that bad start, it's hard to start making up ground.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even last week after we lost that 1-0 game, I got in the locker room and I kind of jokingly with the boys was like, yeah, man, it's just 1 game, but, they all kind of said the same thing. It's like, yeah, man, 1 game, but it's going to be freaking tight this year.
Exactly.
1
game, but don't make it your last type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's dog eat dog right now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that shapes out. Obviously as well, we have the Americans versus the Nordiques, which is a nice kind of middle matchup. Everybody's high on the Americans.
Right.
Nordiques have been showing a lot of high-level positivity there. Looked impressive last week. And then you have the Tigers and the Seals, which right now...
I think that's the game of the week, if you ask me. I think as far as like talent and what we want to see, but I think your guys' game with the North Stars probably has the most intrigue because of what the impact it could have to the standings.
Yeah, the possible impact there of... risk versus reward. Like I said, if the North Stars go down, and if the North Stars do lose, or like even with this starting to talk about, okay, this team's out of this many points down versus that, like when do GMs start to panic and start trying to make trades?
Yeah, I mean, Penny and I have been in that spot, and it's really easy to panic and start trying to tinker with things. But I mean, if you're running the North Stars, what are you gonna do? I mean, what type of trade are you gonna make? They drafted a lot of new guys, so like I think they're still trying to experiment with like who their new guys would be and where they fit and stuff like that.
And I don't know. To me, it's still tough because that 9:00 game, watching it without jerseys with names on the back, like there was a lot of times where
Definitely
we
need to
just
talk
weren't
about
sure.
that.
Like people were. People were just like, who is that? Who's that guy? Who's this guy? Like
It was
people
brutal.
didn't know. Like, so even to say like, I'm a GM and I'll trade you this guy for that guy. Who's that person again? Like, how good are they?
It's so much harder to do. It's hard to do a preseason draft trade, and then let alone execute a trade. I mean, trades get talked about all the time, but we've only seen 2, I believe, player trades in the regular season. So.
And like, realistically, what position right now has the biggest shortage on talent? Like, if you're a GM, like, is it still how it's always been in the past? Like, we need scoring. Is there a team weak on defense right now? Like, how does that work?
I'm a goalie, dude. I want defensemen all day. Although I say that, but I'm actually really satisfied with my decor, so I wouldn't do anything there. For our squad, I don't really see a reason to change anything, But I do think you need to put an emphasis on forwards right now. But I think every team's different because some teams really value defensemen. Some teams went out there and they took their defense early because they said we're going to build this squad around this. So
Yeah, it's tough because, like you said, I think we've said it throughout the podcast. Scoring is king in this league. You know, I think we've seen right now. You know, goals for the Whalers have 2. We have the North Stars with 4 goals, 1 extra game. So,
what's total scoring in the league? Can you do that math real quick? I know you're not a math minor like Panny, but I was hoping you could.
I mean, it's so hard to say because there's teams that have
right,
2
'cause they
games versus
haven't
3
played. Yeah,
games.
okay.
Where, you know, the Seals, they put up 10 goals. They have the most goals in the league. You guys are second with 8, but
Most of those came in one game.
you know, there's 3 goals. We have the Americans. They're putting up 3 goals a game, so that's not bad. We only average 1 goal a game, so it's kind of like, let's just say the North Stars and the Whalers, they need scoring. What are they going to give? Are they going to give defensemen for that? Is there any teams that are really like, we need a defenseman? Because if you look at it, goals against, nobody's hurting super bad there either. So
Right.
I think it always comes down to it's hard to score, and if you need scoring, it's going to be hard to find.
I think a lot of it comes down to chemistry too.
Chemistry and execution.
Yeah, exactly, dude. When I when I look for guys when I'm drafting, I look for guys that are gonna have that team chemistry for who I already have on my squad, and something Panny and I look for is guys that are gonna not take nights off, not just be a ghost out there. Like, yeah, bro, I showed up. Sorry, I didn't do anything. Like I don't care if you're the first rounder or the last rounder. I expect you to give 100% effort, and that's the type of squad we got. Like 100% effort all the time, and that's the type of stuff that I look for.
Room. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the type of stuff that's really going to make or break a team this year is chemistry and effort levels. Is you know, how are your guys going to respond to that and react? Okay, man, we lost 1-0. Like, what you really like look at yourself. Like, if you're looking at yourself in the mirror after a 1-0 loss and being like, man, what did I do wrong? It's like, dude, you did nothing wrong. We ran into a hot goalie, you know?
Right.
But you're still asking yourself that question. You're going to dig deeper and you're going to try to find that W. So
It's that competitive edge too.
it's that competitive edge, dude. And that's what made me a little nervous about all the new guys in the league.
Yeah.
Well, they realize just how seriously we take this shit.
Yeah, I mean, even though, you know, we're our DC like private league, like this is our night. This is where we shine, and this is where like I'm
Dude,
very
I live
competitive.
for fucking Mondays. You
Exactly.
know?
I'm like Sunday nights. I'm
I'm
getting a
already
good
mentally
dinner
prepared,
in, like getting mentally prepared. You know, starting my routine, like, and
I
then
take
Monday
Mondays
comes.
easy.
Yes,
you know?
very easy.
No customer meetings after lunch.
Yep.
You know?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and it's even like I know Fister.
They're
Like,
probably
I think-
walking in this league like, who the fuck are these guys? You know,
Right,
like-
what did I get into?
Well, someone like a Fister last week after the podcast, he sent me a message like, "You guys are doing a great job. This is the most fun I've ever had
See,
in this
that's awesome,
league."
dude. Like,
And then
And that's
even
our
on-
league. That's our league. That's
And
our
even
league.
on Friday, like when he subbed for us for WBW, he's just like, "This league is the most fun I've ever had playing hockey in a league." So
Yeah.
you know, there's the majority of the guys, they like it, they get it.
That's
type
awesome.
Of thing. So
and Ryan's doing a pretty good job of that too. I know he's trying to put together like a barbecue or whatever, trying to get guys all in this. You know.
Yeah, that was a really cool post he did on Slack.
Yeah.
So I'm always down to support that. I mean, when I started, a year and a half ago, like when I joined this league, I'm like, this is sick. Like, this is like, I feel like I'm in NHL Network right now, but I'm in MNHL, you know? So like, it's fun. It's a good time, and bring the guys, like, I think, you know, Dylan's getting involved already. Fister's getting involved. Haven't, out of like everybody new, I haven't seen too much going on, but then again, Slack is like 175 messages a day, if not
say,
more.
it's hard when you're
And
new
we
good.
have
I
a
think
lot
Woods,
of inside
Woods was
jokes.
talking
Yeah,
about
exactly.
Woods was talking about possibly coming into the podcast next week, so
Oh,
that
that'd
would
be
be
awesome.
fun.
That'd be nice.
You know,
He's
all
the
that
Roseville
kind of
gangster,
stuff.
right?
Oh yeah, I mean him and Sips are oil and vinegar, but somehow they belong together. So that's an interesting pairing. But
Oh, good. I'll try.
yeah, like I said, next week I think we'll have some nice matchups with the Whalers, North Stars, American Nordiques, and the Tigers and the Seals. But
I'm excited for that one.
do you have fun on your first time on the podcast, Cone?
Dude, this was legit. Troy kind of sold it wrong. Like I thought I was like going into the basement. I thought when he kept calling it the well, I thought for whatever reason, I'm like, oh, we're going into a basement. I had something totally different envisioned. I thought, we're gonna go walk down like a creepy set of stairs, like a little like we're gonna like be in a little dungeon type room.
No, that's
and
a
we're
nice
just in
little-
Piercy's like spare bedroom.
It's my office.
Office, man. Get it right.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's not a bad setup
Yeah,
in here.
man. I mean, I'm in the Clausen mansion. It's looking nice. He's got the hockey sticks in the living room. I wish my wife would let me do that, man. You're just living the dream over here, man.
bachelor's life, apparently.
I guess.
I
So-
mean, I'm airing out my stuff in my living room right now.
Dude,
I mean,
no
it's not
way,
the
man.
greatest smell, but
Dude, she says, put that shit down in the basement. You're like, yeah, even let you put it in there.
yeah,
Cam, you made your second appearance, so hopefully this time was fun as well.
absolutely, always a good time. And then having another goalie on was kind of nice too.
Oh yeah, we thought for a
Get that
second we were
vibe.
gonna have the goalie roundtable with Hedis and all that. I might have got
that-
my
Dude, I think
butts
we
kicked.
lose too many listeners,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, I think I was talking to somebody earlier. I was like, if we have 3 goalies on, I'm pretty sure we'll have like 2 viewers. So,
It would be the other 2 goalies.
and it would probably run for like 2.5 hours. So I don't think we all want to do that.
Yeah, but once again, as
Yeah,
always,
roll of the eyes.
leave us a voicemail 714-75-WHOOP. Email the show at podcast@mnlhl.com. Sam Mackey,
Thank you.
that was great
That was
tonight.
amazing.
I want to hear more of those, but for the podcast, we are over.
See ya.